the Delhi Metro being an example of Canadian products and technologies in use today, and Bombardier with their plant, rail manufacturing plant up in Gujarat being an example of a large Canadian investment here in India. In terms of Canadian advantages, we again heard some of this already today, but certainly Canada is a nation of educated workers, ranking number 2 in OECD's higher education achievement rankings, and in particular with between the ages of 25 and 35, more than 50% of workers have a post-secondary education. Qualified engineers on a per capita basis, Canada has more qualified engineers than any other G7 country, rated by a number of different rating organizations or organizations such as the Economist Intelligence Unit as the #1 place to do business for the next 5 years and whatever the planning horizon is. The turbulence of the 2008-2009 is a particular example of Canadian resilience and strength in terms of the economy, but especially the financial services, the banking sector, where there were no failures, no bailouts, no subsidies, and no particular hiccups of any sort in Canada's banking system. Tax advantage, Canada's federal business tax is, when combined with provincial taxes, is in the neighborhood of 25%, 15% federal and 10% provincial. That's slowly being harmonized with the objective that all 10 provinces will eventually be at the 10% mark in terms of business tax, and again with 15% federal combined for 25%. That's notably lower than some other nearby competitors for Canada, and it relates to Canada's debt level as a percent of GDP, which is again the lowest in the G7, and because of that, it's in the 30s somewhere in terms of percent of GDP, and was actually for many years until the Great Recession of 2008-9 was actually going down for about 10 or 12 years. And it's only the recent stimulus that has caused that number to kind of stagnate and increase a bit. But what it does mean, importantly, is that businesses face a predictable and stable environment, fiscal environment when it comes to taxes. And because there isn't any looming debt problem or prospect of any, there can be great confidence in terms of the tax environment going forward. The NAFTA advantage, as I mentioned, 450 million consumers in Mexico, the U.S., and Canada, with a free trade area with the U.S. since 1989 and with Mexico since 1994. And so there are very few exceptions to the trade liberalization that occurred at that time. And so Canada offers a window to that market and from a very strategic location in terms of tariffs and market access. Again, some other strengths specific to the engineering services area. Canada is the third largest exporter of engineering services after the U.S. and the U.K. Over 21,000 firms employing 85,000 professionals in the consulting engineering sector. 20% of those are supported in some way by international work. So it's a very much an outward-looking sector that involves work and joint ventures and other sorts of presences all over the world, including here in India, which I'll come to in a second. The international market fields that I refer to include the 5 listed here: infrastructure design and execution, mining and metallurgy development, transportation, ICT, and energy-related projects. So almost 100,000 professionals in the consulting engineering sector working in those and other areas. This provides you again, using a map and some stats along the side, an indication of the distribution of engineering firms in Canada, starting with Ontario and on down the list. Some of it driven, of course, by the fact that population is somewhat concentrated in what we refer to as central Canada. Ontario and Quebec looks a bit more like Eastern Canada in some ways, but we call it Central Canada, since there's quite a bit to the east. And for the rest of the province, we have the stats there. So, in terms of my remaining time, just a bit more in terms of Canada's presence and priorities in India. This is Toronto, and was a very busy place in the month of June. Some of you might have watched the IFA show on TV as a rerun, a repeat in the last week or so. I think it was on TV at least once. And it, of course, took place in Toronto in late June, preceded by the PVD gathering in early June. And so, and again, as was mentioned, this being the year of India in Canada, there has been much going on. And much of those events in Ottawa and other cities around the country have been, of course, planned at the initiative of the Indian High Commission in Ottawa and other offices around the country. Regarding our bilateral trade, relatively small as is shown here, but much potential. In the $2 to $2.5 billion range, both ways, relatively in balance, as you can see in terms of the blue and the pink line there for exports and imports vis-a-vis India. And the major products as shown there, agriculture tends to be a significant item in both directions, actually, and driven a bit by prices, frankly, in terms of the fluctuations. But using last year as an example, Canada exported about $430 million in agricultural products to India, but India exported $225 or $250 million worth of agriculture and agri-food products to Canada. So there is a healthy agricultural trade in both directions. And of course, fertilizer, in the case of Canadian exports, is a big item. Paper and paperboard would be also, and the other ones we could add. There are chemicals, and then we have organic chemicals in terms of exports to Canada, carpets, apparel,